of the hovers that we won't see.
Yeah, which one of these things is not like the other?
Kai'Sa I'm a little bit concerned about because you don't really want to engage into this comp. Like, when will you ever have a great opportunity to Killer Instinct into Tahm Kench, who can devour? Azir is going to be able to slice you to pieces. Clid can stun you. Jinx was the only target in here that you might want to blow up, but there's like so much disengage, and even with the Lee Sin coming through here, I would have actually rather have seen the Vayne. Personally, it was Xayah or the Tristana, but we'll see how this works out.
Yeah, I think they're just thinking about their own composition, which is just, you know, mainly going to go straight forward at the enemy team and try to engage. But as you did mention, I mean, Gen.G do have a lot of tools to handle that engage. We'll have to wait and see, you know, who's going to have the jump on some of these team fights. Because if somebody gets caught out, if anybody gets caught out, they can just be blown up from the side of Liiv Sandbox and what they have brought in. Yeah,
Renekton going to be great with the Rumble. It's going to be a tough lane again for Rascal. Clid is going to have to make a lot of trips to the top side of the map. And we're going to see basically a 2v2 up there almost non-stop, just based on how these lanes go. But in terms of the draft overall, Gen.G are not playing with the handicap of the Lucian that we had in Game 1. They have really nice scaling here with the Azir and the Jinx. It's a lot more of an all-in on what their last game comp could have been able to do. And you know, for Liiv Sandbox, there's a few more holes in this one, right? You don't feel as confident about the Kai'Sa or Khan. We didn't feel great about the Jhin last game, but they proved it. This one I feel a little bit worried about. Set's going to be powerful, but in these late game fights, how much will it hold up against all the disengage that you and I have been talking about with what Gen.G have? I really like Gen.G's chances with this draft to bring us to a Game 3. Clid is undefeated on the Volibear, 4-0 right now.
Yep, looking to extend that to 5. And help his team extend their win streak into 5. And we'll see if they can do that with the game number 2 on the way, as we are going to hop onto the Rift right now. Liiv Sandbox, blue, Gen.G red once again. And yeah, I think the onus in this game is going to be, this time, on BDD. I think that, as you mentioned, he has a lot of tools to kind of absorb some of the pressure from the aggressive Liiv Sandbox composition, but getting your soldiers in position and trying to dissuade them from engaging in the first place and doing that damage in the later stages of the game will be quite nice. Their late game scaling, obviously with the Azir and Jinx alongside of a Tahm Kench, is just absolutely fantastic. And adding in the Lee Sin was pretty interesting. It's kind of like utility, right? He's able to disengage, he's able to find picks as well if need be. And I kind of like it alongside of what they already have.
Yeah, Lee Sin is pretty solid into Renekton too, because you can just kick him out of some of those skirmishes like we saw with the set, but feels even more powerful.
Yeah,
because you're guaranteed to just remove a lot of the damage. We'll see Conqueror taken actually for BDD on the Azir, which can be basically free into the set oftentimes. So don't always see it. Sometimes you see the Comet. There's a lot of different ways you can build it. Fleet Footwork coming in for Fate.
Yeah. The one guy who can't really be denied entry into these team fights is Set, right? Yeah. There's going to be a couple of guys in the front line as well, potentially, for him to just ride into the back line, right? You can get the Volibear. If Clid decides to engage, you can just ride the Volibear into the back line and potentially get on top of BDD, Ruler, Life, and get into that squishy back line. Even the Lee Sin, another way to get on in there. So I think some of the onus as well will be on Fate. So both mid laners having a very important job to do.
Yeah, I do agree that a lot of this game will be decided on how BDD does in this early game, how ahead he can get, and how he performs in some of these skirmishes, because normally when you see BDD on the Azir, you always trust, right? But there have been some shaky moments at the end of spring season and at the beginning of the summer season for him on this champion. So far, it hasn't been like a guarantee, as it's felt like it has been so many times in the past. But I also think there's a lot of onus in this game on the jungle players, right? Like the snowball that you can have with Kroko. I mean, he's got the faster clear.
Oh boy, here we go. The flash already coming in. BDD has the dash. He's able to flash as well to get away from that one. But that's early flash is blown in the mid lane. But also Kroko had to flash to try to make that happen.
Yeah, so, you know, trading up in that regard for Gen.G, but in Azir without a flash is always more vulnerable. As Clid is nowhere nearby, but Summit has to respect the fact that he doesn't know. and don't want to continue to push forward there. You can see that even with the gank in the mid lane, Rumble is 1 camp ahead right now on Clid. Clid's going to rotate over here. We are going to have a scuttle scuffle here, and a little bit of a fight. But Fate, I mean, this is where things get really scary. Like, this is the kind of permanent fights I was talking about between the junglers.
Yeah. These early game fights can determine a lot of what happens later on.
Like, it's way higher risk, I think, for Clid. If he loses this fight, if this goes badly, he loses his whole jungle.
It's a 3-on-3. Clid is getting in there. They're trying to burst down Kroko, but he gets the smite down, and there it is. The set comes in with the face breaker, and now BDD's in the backline with no dash, no flash, no ability to get away from this one. Fate will go down. It's 2 for 2 so far, as the 2 top laners are going to survive. Rascal's got double buff, though. As the sun will come in, the final Q might be the execution, and there it is. It will be in favor of Gen.G, who take down 3 for 2.
Really important, too, that, you know, it was a trade to the jungles there, because like I was mentioning before, if you end up dying as Clid here and Kroko survives and he takes a lot of your camps away, and you can basically have a nightmare of a game ahead of you, like we saw from Malrong yesterday. But we're going to trade scuttles now, and like you said, at the end of the day, it's a better trade for Gen.G. They do get a lot out of this. And this is also Rascal now. He gets all of those kills. He's at 3-0. He gets a ton of extra gold. So he's going to be very high impact on these first few skirmishes around the first Drake and the first Rift Herald here.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see Leeson get that fed. Would have been nice to have BDD pick up some of the kills and get the Azir online faster in this game, but not the case. As they're actually trying to set up a gang on the top side here. We'll see if Rascal feels the pressure, as Prince and Effort will be as well. The knockup will come in. Clid will get devoured as Ruler has to flash the wall, getting aggro on the turret, as the dive is not very clean here from Gen.G.
It's really well handled by Prince and Effort. You know, people think of Tahm Kench as a defensive champion always, but you could turn that defense into an offense when you look for a dive like this, because you can devour, which means you can push the envelope all the way on the turret. But as you mentioned, Flash has to be used there from Ruler. That's actually pretty massive for any follow-up pressure they might have wanted to have. Nope. Gonna hit that tongue lash.
Lick denied.
Clid still trying to find that early prowess we've seen so many times from him on this volley bear. If he ends up getting that kill, then you know he gets a lot of extra gold and can continue to try to roam around the map and find further value instead of clearing the jungle. But he's actually staying a camp ahead himself now. But
that's the Q landing, and Rascal takes an extra shot, but he's 4-0 now. As Summit saw it coming, but he was not willing to give up the farm.
This is so greedy.
This is gonna come down to the smite, as down goes the Rumble. He doesn't smite the dragon, and Clid is easily able to take down this objective. Gen.G are getting so much in this early game.
Yeah, this is really a massive lead now. They had no vision control to prevent this from happening or to see this coming. And like, even if you know it's possible, you're just like, I hope they don't come over here. That was basically the whole game plan of trying to rush that early Drake out, because if you steal the Drake away, like if you're able to sneak it and get away with it and then regroup, you can potentially get both objectives. But it's hard because you're up against an Azir. I mean, we talk about Azir's damage later on, so we're going to go way back in time here and watch this fight again. But if you talk about Azir's damage later on, yeah, that's where he's extremely strong. But also in this early part of the game, his ultimate is very, very strong. I think we got to jump back into live. There's a big fight there, but yes, we saw this very extended fight earlier with Rascal.
Fighting over the red buff here. Fate is looking for the angle as he doesn't find much. Actually goes on the wall, but the Haymaker, or rather the Facebreaker, is pretty large. And now we have a Renekton, a Croc coming in from the back. They're looking for life, actually, but the Emperor's Divide is just massive. Look at that wall. Every single player on the side of Liiv Sandbox cannot pass it, and nobody will die from Gen.G.
Yeah, they were very aggressively trying to contest this red, but that was exactly what I was just describing, is early in the game, BDD is going to have so much power with this Emperor's Divide. Rascal stays on the top side of the map, by the way, throughout all of this, so even though Gen.G don't gain the red buff they were looking for there, and they don't win the fight, like they don't pick up any kills, they're still getting value elsewhere on the map.
Rascal eats like 3 turret shots. As we do have an engage on the bottom side, Ruler is all alone. Where is his Tahm Kench? Looks like he's actually going to get away. The last auto is not enough. And now we have a bear on the bottom side. It's a lot of burst damage that comes in, eats a rocket to the face as Prince as well. And that bear will not be denied. How about another kill going the way of Clid as he picks up his third of the game?
Yeah, just a miscalculation on the damage there from Prince. Doesn't get the kill, gets punished. If he knew how that was going to go, I think he would have played that one very differently. Would have just tried to guarantee the kill onto Ruler. Sadly, does not get it, does not escape either. And this is a massive, massive lead now for Gen.G. If you could make a play happen on the top side of the map, or if you can make that 2v2 fight on the bottom side work, then you could maybe look for a Rift Herald fight. But this was once again just Clid walk everyone. What? You guys actually just doing this blind? Like no vision control whatsoever? No, you know, prio or anything? As once again, we watch this, Ruler goes extremely low. And Prince does not auto him there. I think he might have just been barely out of range, so Prince decides to back off, and then Clid comes in. The Death Rocket is massive, and it's an easy double here for Clid. That's so much extra gold to a Volibear who struggled to actually get that snowball rolling earlier on. But now, I mean, we are we are pretty big as Gen.G.
It's looking like a Gen.G ending in this one. Take a look at some of the gold differences here. After the Rumble dies on the Dragon, Clid is able to pick up the Dragon and enter the enemy jungle, pick up a lot of extra camps, go down to the bottom side, picks up a double kill. Obviously, the 4-0 Liiv Sin has the biggest lead up in the top side. So pretty much everything is going well for Gen.G here. The mid lane is ahead on CS, so is the bottom lane. And Liiv Sandbox, they're just going to try to make a play here on the BDD. They have just immediate CC chain that comes in, and there is no escape for BDD. He's not even able to flash.
It all comes back to the set pick, doesn't it? Always comes back to the set pick. But that was a really aggressive play from Liiv Sandbox. They know that Fate has flash, so you can guarantee the pull through there. If BDD instantly reacts with his own flash, he might get out there, but it's hard to say. He wasn't able to do so. He's still holding onto his flash now.
Oh boy. Summon is still taking these trades. The Dominus comes in, and he's getting in there. He thinks he can take the win, and actually flash used by Rascal, and that's just the kill. If the Renekton is not able to lock down the Lee Sin, you can get the range and execute him with your Q.
Yeah, this is one of those Summit games where people are going to start criticizing him again. It's one of those off games where you got the highest prio top lane in the game in terms of pick ban right now, but isn't able to find success. But he's trying to make heroic plays in the face of a bad situation. Unfortunately, it's just not working out for him. As you can see, this is extremely desperate. He does have teleport, but like, do you want to do this? Like, what's Croco doing this? He's not teleporting. What are you doing, man?
Yeah.
You're dead. Sorry about it.
He's got the stopwatch, and he will be able to use that. But again, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to use the stopwatch, right? So, had he not that item, he would have died. And maybe he was just trying to bait out the rotation from Fate up to the top side, but Rascal easily reads that.
Yeah.
Gets away.
Set was coming up, and I think even seemed like forward.
As we do have the teleports coming in, trying to now get on top of everybody. Charm onto 3, but effort is so squishy. And there's 5 members of Gen.G down on the bottom side, so your teleport is not really going to find too much value here out of both Fate and Summit, actually. As the Q from the Lee Sin is going to miss. They're trying to trade back a little bit, but this is Gen.G's Rift. They're ahead 5,500 gold at 11 minutes in.
Ruler's just getting more gold here on this turret. Plate's going down. He gets 160 off this one, solo by himself. And now they've got the Drake prio that comes with it. They get the Drake. And like you said, the Rift belongs to them. Last game, it was a bit of a snowball for Liiv Sandbox early on objective control. They didn't have as much of a gold advantage, but the objective advantage really started to stack up. This game is nothing like the last one because Gen.G, this is one of those times where you joke about Gen.G's early comp, but it's not actually an early comp, but they have such a massive lead that if you didn't know the game very well, you might feel like their comp is actually busted early game. As we do see this really cool play from Fate in the mid lane. Well, that was a while back, and I actually watched this exchange one more time. Oh, this is not the time we saw earlier with the Rumble coming up. This is just going to be Rascal going, okay, I flashed this to survive. Q, he survives just long enough to get his Q back up and goes in. That's all it takes.
Doesn't say a word.
Nope.
Stone cold killer. And the follow-up here is, you know, Effort gets a good engage, but he's so squishy, and Rascal is basically a tank. At level 9, he just comes in, is able to get behind that Rakan and easily shut him down.
Second Rift Herald here, easy guarantee. And I mean, there's actually a minute left before plates, so can actually pull this off maybe.
Okay, trying to get on top of BDD here, but he's just basically baiting them. So now Summit does come over, and Rascal is just playing with his food.
Ruler, meanwhile, is like, I'm going to get all the plates. You guys can have your fun in the mid lane, but I am just going to head towards my late game Jinx early.
All right, they're pretty desperate now, trying to find any engage they can. The quickness is used, but he is not able to chain that onto anything. The equalizer doesn't slow anyone for a significant amount of time.
That was the first Herald, by the way. I said second. I lied. But felt like it was a pretty late Herald take considering the state of the game, so I thought it was second, but it's not, of course.
Gen.G was just collecting all the free Liiv Sandbox kills instead.
Oh, just barely misses the plates. Yeah. Sad times.
Well,
never felt sadder watching lines disappear off my screen.
Can't always get what you want. And Ruler, he now can basically do whatever he wants. I mean, Gen.G at this point are just playing with Liiv Sandbox like they're a bunch of toy cars or something. And yeah, Liiv Sandbox can't do anything. Yeah, it's like they're Power Rangers. You just bash their heads together. At least that's what I did when I was a kid.
Like right now, Gen.G is like Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah.
Just gonna start wondering like, what happens when you put a Renekton head on Rumble? Just wait until the Pop-Tarts are ready. Yeah, this game is definitely over, unfortunately for Liiv Sandbox fans out there. They had a great first game. This game fell apart extremely early.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the Kai'Sa pick that we talked about. It was just about everything else. And
yeah, I don't think the draft even matters at all in this one. Just comes down to the fights here as Rascal is going to get caught out here, but maybe he can still get the assassination. Tries to jump in, but they're stacking pretty well as Fate now not able to get the kill. Maybe Prince can do it? Can anyone kill this guy? The rocket comes in and actually gets him, threads the needle through two members of Liiv Sandbox, and it's a trade.
It all goes back to the set, Valdez. If there's anything happening while you're playing Sandbox, it just keeps going back to the set. You may be 7,000 gold down. As long as you've got a set, there's still hope.
You never know with this guy.
Oh, well, that was a really nice play from Ruler. Picks up his first kill of the game, actually, even though his team has been dominating. He hasn't gotten any kills, just the 3 assists. So a little bit of extra gold going over to him on top of all the plate gold he's gotten this game. It's starting to be pretty insane. As we watch this one more time, Rascal is not aware that Effort is here. Effort is able to verify this too with the sweeper. So this ends up being a little bit of a miscalculation here from Rascal. You know, you're 6-0 in this game, and you're like, yeah, well, I could do anything. And technically, yeah, he still can.
And Effort only got the quickness here. So he wasn't able to use it earlier on. As you can see, it like goes right under the recon to slip through and execute Fate.
Threading the needle.
Yeah. But, you know, I called it a trade, but actually getting the big shutdown onto Rascal is nice. He's still 3,000 gold ahead, so it doesn't really matter, but it helps. You know, it's a step in the right direction for Liiv Sandbox at least.
Yeah, we're putting like the eye drop into an empty cup, one drop at a time to have the glass half full.
Yeah.
On this one for Liiv Sandbox. Their comp is not the stronger late game comp either, just to make that clear.
Okay, well maybe 4v1 is the way to get it done. He's, you know, CC from 100 to 0. He got an insane amount of health and he lives. The equalizer comes in, but the Devour is there. 1v4. Rascal survives again.
Starax, he's got Gore Drinker, he's got the Devour, and all 5 members of Liiv Sandbox nowhere near what will be the soul point here for Gen.G on Infernal Soul. Infernal Soul with a Jinx, with an Azir, and a 6-1-1 Lee Sin at the end of the day. You're not feeling good about it. Summit got his boots upgraded though, so just
I'm getting flashbacks to 11.1 with the amount of health that he gains from this Gore Drinker.
Yeah, watch that. It's actually unbelievable. The equalizer is blocked. He's got the safeguard shield.
Well,
easy peasy, no problem.
Yeah, he's just calling for the Devour there at the end in a more direct way, which I'm not going to repeat. But yeah, he's able to survive. Lee Sin just doing Lee Sin things. And it helps that he has an insane amount of gold at this point
Well,
in time.
it's kind of ironic that actually if there were less people there, you might have died.
Yeah.
Because of the way Core Drinker works. But, you know, that's how it goes sometimes. Now, this game has become almost comical, unless you're a Liiv Sandbox fan. And
Sure.
I think Liiv Sandbox is already thinking about Game 3.
Uh-oh. Oh, Rascal, yeah, you still have, yeah. Okay.
He just keeps actually like being like, no, I just don't care about anything in this game. I just want to go on to Game 3. You have a similar feeling as Gen.G 2. You're like, okay, well, I just want to move on because this game is already over, and you know, Rascal's just devil-may-care attitude in this game has been pretty fun to watch.
One of those games where it's just like, okay, if this were a scrim, it's like, go next.
Oh yeah, you just quit the game, 100%.
It's like, okay, good job, guys. You guys won the early game really hard. We're not going to play it out from behind, unless they're specifically trying to practice that. But at this point, it is a pretty large lead. You know, there are tools in their toolbox. They still have an insane amount of engage, but it's going to be very rough.
Oh, so you're saying it all goes back to the
It all comes back to the set. Believe it or not. He's actually the puppet master. He's pulling all the strings here on the Rift every single time. That's why he brought himself back into the meta. It's very clear.
Yeah. Well, Liiv Sandbox is going to try to get the second Rift Herald here when Gen.G is resetting. I don't know if that's even guaranteed.
Liiv Sandbox, they know they're very far behind, but...
Dancing on the eye here, Klitz is,
It's perfect that it's Vola there, too.
Oh, man. This is too much for me to bear. No pun intended, but...
Wow.
I didn't actually, that was not intentional. Yes.
I don't believe you.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I'll take the credit for a really bad pun on this one. So it rained really a lot for a second yesterday.
Yeah.
You experienced that, or were you inside before that happened?
I was inside for all of my journey, actually. Just a subway guy myself.
Fate, he wants to be inside right now of this turret range.
Seek shelter in the fountain, perhaps. You can see Liiv Sandbox, they're not really confident to take any fights at this point.
Yeah, I mean, would you be?
Well, if it were solo queue,
if it were solo queue,
the game would have ended already.
Yeah, you would have typed /FF. Everyone would have clicked on the Joaquin button or the Sulak button, I guess it might be in this case. My client in English recently, so don't remember, but you know, it's I'm trying to think of a way where this goes well for Liiv Sandbox or how Gen.G could mess this up, because this is like an even bigger lead than when Liiv Sandbox beat T1, right? When they came back and had the Vayne fight. Like, they had a Vayne in that game. So you're like, oh, okay, well, Vayne kind of fed some items.
This is a pretty early Baron. We'll see how the turn goes. Again, Liiv Sandbox's engage is really nice. The equalizer does come down. Gen.G, I like that they give respect to this.
Yeah.
I like that they back off. But Liiv Sandbox, they just don't care. They just don't give a damn. They're like, okay, we'll take the Baron. Wait, no, we can't. We can't quite do that. The spike comes in, and they're trying to get it done. But look at BDD. He just does way too much damage. Prince gets 1 kill, but that's it. He's able to avoid the rocket. And you gotta Liiv Sandbox sometimes, even when they're getting crushed. They never back down. They don't just let them slow push into the turrets, into the fountain. They're always willing to take a fight, even if it means their demise.
Yeah,
because they knew that if they backed away, they were going to lose anyway.
Like you said, they have the set. They have Equalizer, which, you know, in a fight like this where the Baron, everybody's grouped up, you're going to get the most potential value. I mean, Fate was actually very close. I think we are going to watch this one more time. Look at everybody grouped up here for Gen.G. Like, if Fate is, you know, like a few pixels closer to them, he can actually flash Facebreaker into this, and then the follow-up Equalizer comes, and maybe you actually win this fight. Like, he's actually kind of left on his own because there's a little bit of a disconnect here between Liiv Sandbox's comms. Instead of actually looking to win the fight, they go for the Baron secure.
Half the team just ran at the Baron with the 6-1 Lee Sin as a pit. It's like, well, probably not the play.
If you actually
push away the Lee Sin and you try to engage on the 4,
yeah,
it's the right play.
If you actually look for the engage there with, you know, it's hard. You're losing this game. You're thinking about game 3, but if you engage with Fate there on the left side, I think maybe that fight is winnable, but definitely a disconnect there.
Yeah.
But can you blame them? I mean, they took a first win in this series. They've got to fall back to game 3. That was unlucky. Timing of that.
Yeah.
But this
Soul.
Soul on top of it all. Very fiery cherry. you know, on top of this victory that Gen.G are already, I mean, they're already practically guaranteed. I don't actually, I've had very few games of League of Legends like this that I've commentated this year where I've just been like, yeah, no, this one, you could just tie it up with a ribbon and put it in a box. But this is definitely one of those games.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. We're not going to pull your guys' leg. 10,000 gold ahead here at 23.5 minutes with Infernal Soul. You're feeling good with your Jinx in the here with the Tom Kents for safety. Liiv Sandbox will try their best, but this one is, you know, this one is what it is. The Observer, Jonah Strong, is showing us that there is one ward. It's on vision, though, so if a teleport comes in, they will know immediately.
Yeah.
We'll see if,
there's
Fate,
a deeper one. They go for.
Fate is going to go for it.
Yep.
And so here we go. They see him coming in now. The equalizer is really nice, and we'll see if he can get the angle, trying to get on top of the Tom Kent as well. Effort just dies immediately, and now Fate will go in, but the damage is not quite there, as Krako is trying to follow up on that. And here comes Clid, and Rascal looking to get it. I think he just smited him to death there. That is going to be the clean ace, and should be the end here of game number 2.
It almost once again went all back to the set, but this is one of those games where set's win rate's going to go down a little bit, but it wasn't about him, and Gen.G just played a fantastic early game. Clid really started to snowball things when he got those 3 kills, when he was able to get the first kill there in the jungle, and then those 2 on the bottom side.
What?
Yeah, I don't know.
Did he try to walk across and he was actually blocked by his teammate or something? That looks pretty weird.
I guess so.
Either way, Ruler with a little celebration perhaps there at the end. Very straightforward game. Came down to the 3v2 kills that got Rascal too far ahead. He was able to snowball the top lane. And
for the first time, Valdez, on this series now, Liiv Sandbox will have the opportunity to deny the red side pick away from Gen.G, something that they're probably going to consider during this break.